Hello and assalamualaikum. Welcome to the brand new show of Faltucast. What's your story? Today we have a guest from United States. She's a travel vlogger, Katie. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How's your week going? What's happening right now?
What's going on right now? I'm busy at home basically. Um, what I try to do is travel as often as I can. And then when I am not traveling, I'm just at home making money any way I can so that I can get out and travel again. So that's kind of what I'm doing now is just hanging around home, working, trying to save up money so that this summer I can go out and travel.
So we will talk about firstly your childhood. Where were you born? What did you study and all?
Yeah. So I was born in Loveland, Colorado. That's still where I live. I've always lived there. Haven't lived anywhere else, but I've traveled a lot. And I didn't go to university or college or anything like that. Um, I have just kind of been self-employed with various different things since I was 18. Um, I used to have an online store where I would sell vintage clothing. And then I did that for a couple years. And then I became a real estate agent. And so I did technically go to trade school for that, but it was only about a month long. And so it wasn't like real school. And then now I'm pursuing content creation. So
So,
yeah.
content creation in the travel niche, right?
Yeah, travel niche. Yep.
So how did you fall in love with the traveling and all?
Well, so traveling, I guess I started traveling when I was 15 because I went on my first international trip to France, Spain, Italy, and Monaco. It was a group trip with EF Tours, and we were gone for 2 weeks, and I just absolutely fell in love with traveling. It's the first time I'd ever left the United States, and the first time I'd ever traveled without my family. And like even growing up, I hadn't really done much traveling with my family, like maybe some local camping trips, but nothing too, you know, far away or anything like that. And so I went on my first trip when I was 15 and fell in love with it. And I started going on those group trips every summer after that. I was working at a local convention center doing concessions. And so I could save up money to go on that trip. And I ended up going on 4 different trips with EF Tours. And by the time I was 18, I had traveled to 13 different countries thanks to EF Tours. And so um, I just fell in love with traveling that way. And I started to just do it as often as I could. And that's when I started going on solo trips after I turned 18. So like one time I went to Ukraine and rescued dogs from Chernobyl. And I've gone on a couple cruises, and I just recently backpacked around Indonesia, and I've gone solo camping in the woods, and I just whenever I get the chance, I like to travel. So I'm hooked. I'm addicted.
As I was researching and following you on your YouTube channel, so you had a pretty like a stressed out trip to Indonesia, your
Yeah.
baggage and everything. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my first time in Asia, to start with. So that was definitely a culture shock, compared to what I'm used to, because when I have traveled internationally, it's been mostly to like Western Europe, Ukraine once, but that was only for one night. And so that I didn't really get to experience too much of the Eastern Europe culture. And then I've been to Mexico, but that was really only with either a on a yoga retreat or with a cruise. And so I didn't really get to experience too much of, Mexico culture. And so yeah, it was really my first time in Asia, first time in a country that is not very westernized. And so it was a culture shock to say the least. And um, I get there, I'm by myself. It's 36 hours of travel to get there. So I'm exhausted. It took 3 flights to get there, one of which was 16 hours, and I'm just exhausted. And so on my way from Singapore to Jakarta. On my last flight, they tell me like, "Hey, your luggage didn't make it from San Francisco to Singapore." And I'm like, oh my gosh. And being a seasoned traveler, I should know by now that you should always pack, your essentials in your carry-on bag just in case your big like checked luggage gets lost. And I didn't do that. And so I had like nothing with me except for my camera gear because that's what I wanted to make sure it didn't get lost or stolen. And so I had all my expensive stuff with me, but I didn't have like a toothbrush or a change of clothes or anything like that. And so it was a little stressful. And I ended up being without my luggage for 5 days. That's including like the travel time. In Jakarta, I was only without it for about 2 days, but so travel math doesn't really make sense. It was 5 days, 36 hours. It doesn't make sense because it's, huge 15-hour time difference. But yeah, so it's basically 5 days. And yeah, it was really stressful. So I get there, check into the hotel, which I had a brand deal with. We were doing some marketing for the hotel in exchange for a stay, which was lovely. They were super nice, and they were also very accommodating for me losing my luggage. And so they told me where to go. They sent me to the Grand Indonesian Mall, where I was able to get a change of clothes, which was a whole nother situation because Jakarta is not very tourist friendly. Like it's not somewhere that tourists really go to, visit. It's more of a business city. It's more like people just live there to work. There's just not really much for tourists to do. And so not many people speak English in Jakarta, and which is like not I'm so spoiled to have English be my native language because whenever I travel, most people also speak English or at least some English. And so it's never usually hard for me to get around. But in Jakarta, it's very few spoke English. And so having to go into the mall and describe, the luggage or the airline lost my luggage, I need underwear was like very hard to like describe to these women at the mall that were trying to help me. And just the whole experience of shopping at that mall was much different. Um, like what I'm used to, you go into the mall and you're trying to pick out a matching outfit and you're carrying around a shirt and you're carrying around pants and you're like, okay, do these colors match? And does this go with this? And whatever. But this mall was different where they wouldn't let me carry multiple items around the store at the same time. And so they kept coming up to me and like taking the items away from me and taking them up to checkout for me. And I was like, well, but I need to match this outfit. Like I need that needs to like look good together. So this shirt, I need to find pants for this shirt. And like they wouldn't let me carry it around. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, do they think I'm gonna steal this? And it was just really awkward. And again, the language barrier, I couldn't really communicate well. I was getting out my Google Translate, but it was just, there was a huge language barrier. And I didn't really understand why they wouldn't let me carry the clothes around the store to try and, match everything together. And so I finally get an outfit. I'm like, whatever, it's good enough. I just get like some comfortable clothes to just feel clean. And I go to a restaurant after that in the mall, and I sit down. It's a sushi restaurant and it's really good. And this guy sits next to me and I hear him talking to someone in English. And I was like, oh, he speaks English, so I'm going to talk to him. And so I start asking him like where he's from and everything. And he's a native of Jakarta, but he speaks really good English because he went to university in, I honestly don't remember where. I want to say like London or something like that. And so he speaks really good English because of that. And so we start talking and I tell him my experience at that store where they kept taking my clothes. And I was like, are they going to like, do they think I'm going to steal this? And he was like, no, no, no. He's like, they're being really hospitable. This is their culture. They think they're helping you by you not having to carry anything around. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a like difference here. I thought they were accusing me of like stealing, but they were actually being hospitable, like because they didn't want me to have to carry anything around. So it was just stuff like that where it was a lot of like learning curves like that. And like I don't talk about this in an upcoming video, but like everything in Indonesia was just so much harder than A, I'm used to, and B, I think it needs to be. Like for instance, when I was coming back from, like, I was ready to fly back to the United States. I was in, my flight was out of Jakarta to fly back to the United States, but I ended my trip in Canggu, which is near Denpasar. And so that's two different airports. Like the two main airports in Indonesia are Denpasar and Jakarta. And so it would be like an hour flight for me to fly from Denpasar to Jakarta to catch my flight to get back to the United States. And so that's what I was planning on doing. It was only going to be about 25 US dollars to fly from Denpasar to Jakarta. It was going to be about an hour. It was going to be really easy. So I go online to book my flight, and it's like, you can book your flight, but you can't pay for it via credit card on our website. You have to go pay for your flight at the gas station. And I was like, I have to pay for my flight at the gas station? Like, what is this? Like, why is that so hard? And I think it was because I had an American credit card and they only accepted either Indonesian banks or Indonesian credit cards. Because that was another issue I was having, was that a lot of places don't accept my American credit cards, or like a lot of apps didn't accept my American phone number. It was just really, really, everything was so much harder than it needs to be, I think. And so for being there for a month, I was like so exhausted when I came home, that I think my nervous system was shot for a few months, because I just ended up not like producing much content. I ended up waiting like months before posting my first Indonesia video, and I've just been like exhausted, really. So yeah, it was quite the experience, and to be gone for a whole month was also a really long time.
So you were technically seeking discomfort.
Yes, I was very much so uncomfortable, and I don't know if I was seeking the discomfort, but the discomfort was real.
So as a solo female traveler, what hardship do you face?
Um, let's see. I mean, honestly, I really enjoy being a solo female traveler. I think, like, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. I almost prefer to travel by myself instead of with people, because I just get to do whatever I want whenever I want, and I don't have to think about, another person's like needs, wants, whatever. Um, so for the most part, I don't feel I have much of a hardship when I travel by myself. It's almost easier. Um, but I'm not going to lie and say that like sometimes it would be nice to travel with somebody, because, especially like you can see in one of my videos when I was driving around Utah, like I'm driving for 8 hours straight and there's just nothing around to even look at. It's just a very boring drive. And I'm by myself and I've listened to the same song over and over and over again. And I'm not in the mood to listen to a podcast, but I'm not in the mood to listen to an audiobook. And it's just like boring. And so it would be nice to have someone in the car with me so that it's boring together. Or like when like the stuff that people don't talk about when they're recording content for themselves or trying to take pictures of themselves, is that if you're by yourself, you are also recording yourself and you're also taking pictures of yourself, or you're asking a stranger to take pictures of you. And that's just hard. So you're trying to enjoy your trip, but you're also trying to make a movie out of it, or you're trying to, do a photo shoot of it. And so everything takes so much longer, and you're not really able to necessarily enjoy your trip fully like you would if you were just like on a trip. And so it'd be really nice to have someone with me to also, take photos of me and help me record and etc. So for the most part, I don't know if I necessarily have too much of a hardship when I'm alone. I don't really get lonely very easily. But there is definitely some things that would be easier if I had someone with me.
So you have visited like 14 countries.
Sorry, repeat that.
How many countries have you visited right now?
I
How
can't
many?
hear you.
How many countries have you visited till now?
Oh, how many countries have I visited? I think I'm at 15 or 14, something like that.
And which country do you think shocked you the most? Like you had perceived something else about that country and you just went there and you saw like it's not the way you thought it was.
Yeah. Well, there's a country that I would like to go back to try and change my mind about, because I feel like when I was there, I didn't have a good experience, and I was only there for a day. And it wasn't a good experience, but other people go to this country all the time and love it. And so I really would like to go back and try and like change my opinion of it. But that's Morocco. So I was there quite a few years ago, and I was with the tour group, and we were walking down the streets, and there's, people that you can tell are clearly locals. You can tell by the way they're dressed. And all of a sudden, there's these two guys that are walking behind us that are clearly not local, based on the way they're dressed. And they look like they've got money, and they've got like these crocodile skin boots on, and they're just they stand out. And suddenly they're walking closer and closer behind us. And me and this other girl were walking in the back of the group, and both of us start noticing these guys that are like trailing us, and us two are at the back of the group. And we look at each other and we're like, And then guys in the group that are with us start to notice that these two guys are starting to like, like come behind us. And everyone's kind of starting to get a little weird. So the guys in our group start circling around us, and those two guys that were following us, they go away once the guys in our group like circle around us. And so like there was a lot of talk of sex trafficking around there. And so that was like a real concern of what were those guys doing. They were trying to maybe do something bad. So that kind of scared me a bit. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going back there, especially alone, if that's the risk that could happen there. And then I also got food poisoning in that same day. So I was like, I just did not have a good experience in that country at all. However, I know a lot of women that have traveled back there and traveled back solo to Morocco that have had a great experience, and it's beautiful. And so I would really like to go and try again, and change my, opinion of it.
Yeah, I know someone who's currently traveling to Morocco. She's from United States. I don't know if you know Tricia with the truth. She has a YouTube channel, but she's
Mm-mm.
traveling in Morocco and she's having a good time there. So, do you have
Okay.
any bucket list that you want to visit these countries or something like this?
Well, I mean, I would love to visit everywhere. So that's everywhere it would be the bucket list, but more specifically, so I'm 28 and I would love to visit every continent before I'm 30. So far I have Australia, South America, and Antarctica left. And so I don't know if I'm going to be able to, it's just financially to go to all those places, because two of those are quite expensive to get to, Antarctica and Australia. So especially Antarctica, because the only way you could go there really is via a cruise ship, and those cruises cost, you know, $15,000 to $30,000 US dollars to go. And so it's like very expensive to get down there, but that would be just like the ultimate way to spend my 30th birthday. So that would be great. South America is probably not too hard to get to, so I could probably do that. And then Australia, the flights to get there are pretty expensive. And then while you're there, Australia is also very expensive. So financially, I'm not sure I'll be able to do it, but I'm sure going to try.
So, do you have any plans to visit Pakistan someday since you're on a Pakistani podcast?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would like to. I would like to. Eva Zubek, do you know who that is?
We talked about her once.
Yes, yes. Yeah, Eva Zubek, she visited Pakistan, and I've actually met her before, and I think she's really inspiring. And so I would love to visit Pakistan, because I also think that's a um, good way to seek discomfort, as we were saying, because I don't honestly know much about Pakistan, and I guess there's I don't want to say it's an opinion or a misconception, or I don't know what it is. But people in the United States don't talk about Pakistan, or maybe don't understand it, or are afraid of it. I'm not sure.
I mean, they are kind of afraid because we have a great neighborhood surrounding us. So people have always seen in a bad news. So
Mm-hmm.
most probably that's why. But I know Eva Zubek came for 1 month in Pakistan. She stayed for like 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another person. She's a travel vlogger, Rosie Gabriel. She rides on a bike and she's from Canada and she came to Pakistan and she stayed forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Drew Binsky came to Pakistan once and he
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah. So yeah, once you come here, don't worry, people will help you. And thanks to British colonization, everyone knows a bit of English, so you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about that.
Yeah. 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 Would you say it's like a safe place for solo female travelers to go?
I mean, every place is a safe place, but again, it depends. Anything can happen anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the cities, in the main cities, I don't think it would be a problem for a solo foreign traveler because they've been coming here and people love to help them. Like, I'll tell you the hospitality level of Pakistan. Anywhere you go, you will get something for free.
Mm.
100% sure they will offer you tea, biscuits. Even if they don't have anything to eat for themselves, they will get you something for you. So
Wow, that's nice.
we are weird. We are gonna feed the guests first.
That's
So
really
yeah.
sweet.
So if you get a chance, plus I don't know if you love food.
I love food.
Pakistan is a food heaven,
I was just going to
especially.
ask about that. I don't even know what kind of food is in Pakistan at all. I have no clue.
Okay, basically we like different regions. We have different regions. So in the south part of Pakistan, which is like in my city, we have a lot spicier food.
Mm.
It's like the you will find like similar to the Indian food.
Oh, I love Indian food.
Yeah, I'm most probably better than them. Don't kill me, bro. But okay. But you will love it. But on the like the northern side, the part which meets the Afghanistan, they like to eat raw meat with no masalas or spices. So they like to be on the proper, the healthiest thing.
Hmm.
So yeah. So every like city has their own flavor and
Hmm.
their own style of making food. But yeah, if you come to Karachi, which is my city, it's a metropolitan city, so you will get all the flavors of Pakistan here. Like you will find every dishes, even the Afghani pulao.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you do? Are you vegan or you can eat anything?
I'm vegetarian. Yeah.
Yeah, you will find vegetarian food here as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally, I don't have an issue finding vegetarian food when I travel, at least nowadays. I remember when I was in Greece, like, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that. No, actually more than that, maybe 11, 12. I don't know. A while ago, I was in Greece and I asked for a gyro, but with no meat on it. And they were extremely offended that I asked for a gyro with no meat.
I mean,
And
here people won't get offended, but they will let you know if they have it or not.
yeah.
Because in Pakistan we do eat a lot of like meats in Pakistan, but you will get a lot if you go and ask what's they have in their vegetarian menu. They will tell you.
Hmm.
And yeah, in Pakistan people love to eat rice. There's a famous dish. I don't know if you know biryani.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a Pakistani dish which everyone loves here except me.
You don't like it?
I'm not a rice person, to be
Oh,
honest.
yeah. Yeah.
So even in my home, my mom cooks like twice a week,
Hmm.
and I order something from outside.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So yeah. So what would you give a tip to a solo female traveler if they are going for the solo for the first time?
Yeah. I mean, oh, that's tough. Like, I just had to do one tip.
I mean, you can give more
Mm.
tips as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I think probably the biggest thing would be to just do it. Um, I think a lot of people are afraid to go out there and travel by themselves, and they start to get in their heads about well, what if this happens? And what if this happens? And what if this happens? And, you just kind of gotta not ignore the what ifs, but I think you will find that you are far more capable of doing it than you ever realized you are. And you're not going to know that until you actually go out and do it. So, whatever you want to do, even if it's just going to a hotel near you that's not that far away, that's, whatever, and just experiencing that by yourself for the first time ever, try that. And then maybe go a little bit farther, or maybe, you want to go camping and go to a, you know, big campground that's got, lots of people around for your first time or something. Like there's just so many options out there where you can ease into it and start to learn that, you can do this. And I think everyone is capable of doing it. I think you just have to get out of your head.
This reminds me of something which I totally forgot, that you are working on your van life, I think. You're
A
making a
camper?
van. Yeah. So would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah. So I have been renovating a camper since 2020 with my dad. We bought a vintage camper that was falling apart from someone off of Craigslist. And it was a college student was living in it up in the mountains, and it was just disgusting. And he took it, got in an accident, took it around a culvert, and it fell in. Two of the walls fell off. And so we've pretty much been rebuilding it from scratch. And now it's basically a brand new camper, and we're almost done with it. And this summer, I will be taking that camper out with my Toyota 4Runner and going on a lot of road trips with that. And I'm super excited about that. So I'll be doing that by myself, which I think is also a, pretty empowering thing for a female to do. To haul a trailer around and figure out how to set all this up and do that. I think that's something that a lot of women don't do on their own either. So I'm excited to do that. And, I get a lot of questions a lot about camping by myself and stuff like that. So I think it'll be really, beneficial for me to start sharing that with my followers as well.
Awesome. We wish you good luck for that. Thank you for taking the time out for us. And any last words you want to say to our followers?
Well, thanks for having me on. Thank you. It's been really nice. It's nice to get to know you a little better too. And yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to follow along for some cool Colorado and Western US solo female content, you're welcome to. So yeah, thank you.
I'll make sure to give your link in the description. And thank you. And everyone else, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, comment us. And yeah, see you again. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.